Hi there, my name is Thomas Jenner. I work for Asus UK as part of the technical team, and I'm here at CCL to give you a very quick introductory course on overclocking with Asus motherboards. What we're going to be looking at today is our brand new P8Z77-V Deluxe, which is, as you can probably guess by the name, based on the Z77 chipset and is designed to accompany Intel's new Ivy Bridge line of processors. So, due to time constraints, obviously we can't cover everything, taking someone from that has never overclocked to a professional, but the goal of this video is to give you some tips so that no matter what level you are, there's going to be something you can take from this, and it will make you a better overclocker, especially with our Asus range. So hopefully you find this helpful. Okay, so for the first step, we're going to look at overclocking if you have absolutely no experience at all doing it. So let's say you used to have a system with a P8Z77-V Deluxe, or even a Pro or the standard, and you've got an overclockable CPU, one of the K series, but you have no idea how to overclock. You've never attempted it, and maybe you're a bit scared of doing it as well, because you've heard that it can break the processor, break the motherboard, or something like that. You don't need to worry at all. We have some tools that do all of the work for you, and so you don't need to spend long amounts of time learning about what all the settings are, and you don't need to worry that you're accidentally going to put insane voltages through your motherboard and accidentally cause damage. So I'll just show you that now. So here on the screen we have a piece of software called AI Suite 2. This comes preloaded on all of our software disks along with your drivers. So you have to go ahead and install that. And you see here there's an option called auto tuning. So you can click on that and it will bring up this box here. So it says auto system level up. So what it will do is provide automatic overclocking for you. As you can see, we have two options here, fast and extreme. So I'll just briefly explain what the difference is. First of all, we have fast. If you click that, what it will do is using our dedicated Turbo V processing unit, it will scan the hardware in your system, and then it will match up a profile that we have pre-assigned at headquarters to give you a good performance boost. It'll overclock both the CPU and the integrated GPU. So it's a very quick method of giving yourself a really nice performance boost. So, so that's that. Also, that can be achieved with the dedicated TPU switch, which is actually on the motherboard itself. So if you want, you can do it before you even turn on your computer, enable this fast overclock. The other option we have here is extreme. Now, the extreme will, to a certain degree, simulate what you would do yourself if you was overclocking. So it will go through a number of stages. First of all, start by raising the speed. Then it will try increasing the voltage until it gets to a point where it's unstable, at which point it will roll back to a safe settings, and then it will try from a different angle, perhaps going in with the base clock. So it's a very good algorithm, and it comes with years of experience from our professional engineers, and you can take advantage of that, although the extreme setting will take more time to run through because it has to find out what the optimal performance your CPU will achieve by trial and error. So just for a demo here, we're going to click on the fast option. So we click on that. It gives you a quick warning just to explain what it's going to be doing. Don't worry, just go ahead and press start. So what it's doing now is scanning your system and checking all the hardware, make sure the CPU can be overclocked, checking the other pieces of information like what motherboard you're using, how much DRAM you have. It'll find the correct profile. Now, while it's restarting, on the next boot up, it'll apply the settings for you. So. Okay, so I'll just close this. As you can see, it's given us a 20% performance increase instantly, just after one restart. So it's gone from its default speed up to 4.2 gigahertz. So you know, in video games or in general tasks, you're going to find that's going to provide you with a nice performance increase. So we can also show that with our real-time Intel Turbo Boost monitor. So if we run a stress test, you'll see the CPU is now running at 4.22 gigahertz. So that's a really nice performance increase with just one simple click of a button, and you don't need to worry about anything else. We take care of the whole overclock for you. Okay, so this is for the second step. Let's say you want to achieve an overclock with this system, and you know roughly what speed you want to go to yourself. Maybe it's 4.5 gigahertz, 4.6, maybe even higher. But you don't know exactly what settings to use. You read online on forums, maybe get conflicting information, and you're a bit wary of doing it. There is another way you can actually take advantage of the years of experience from Asus engineers and actually specify the speed you want as well, and that's by using our auto rules. Okay, so I'll just demonstrate that to you now. So first of all, we need to go into the advanced mode, and then to AI Tweaker. This is where you can manually set the CPU's performance settings. Now, normally, what you would do when you're doing overclock is set it to manual, and then change every setting to a specified setting as you dictate. But what we're going to do is leave on auto. Go to turbo ratio, because that's what we're going to overclock with. Go to manual. We want to synchronize the cores because we want them all to change to the same level. And we can just enter in here 46. So a 46 times multiplier times by the 100 base BCL-K will give us 4,600 megahertz, or 4.6 gigahertz. And that's all we're going to do here. We're not going to touch anything else. We're going to leave them on auto. So what it will mean is that when you apply these, press save and exit, all of them will be changed to accommodate that 4.6 gigahertz overclock which you've stated that you want. So very simple. Go to exit, press save changes and reset, and yes. So now again, as it's restarting, the dedicated Turbo V chip will check what speed you said you wanted, and then it will change all of the parameters in the BIOS to suit that. Now obviously it's very hard to get this right, because you don't want to give too much voltage to the processor, because it's just going to create waste heat, which may throttle if it gets too hot, and we don't want to give too little voltage, because that could lead to system instability and generally just very bad when doing an overclock. So again, you're taking advantage of many years of experience, you know, because what we do is we sit there and we say, okay, with this processor at 4.5 gigahertz, what is going to be the optimal voltage? What's going to be the optimal amount of load line calibration, etc. So here in Windows, and again running a stress test, the multiplier has gone up to its maximum of 46, and we now have an overclock of 4.6 gigahertz. Obviously, due to time constraints, we can't sit here and do a 24-hour stress test to show you that it is 100% stable, but as you can see at the moment, although it has only been a short period, Windows works absolutely fine. And again, you've got that excellent performance increase, and you can try going above 4.6 gigahertz. You can try 4.7, 4.8 if you want, although it is worth remembering predefined settings will never ever replace doing it yourself. You know, learning what the settings are and learning what to do will always yield better results than, you know, loading in a profile. But as you can see, the 4.6 gigahertz is a very large overclock. Okay, so in the previous two clips that we've just discussed, we looked at overclocking for people that have never overclocked before, and they just simply want to achieve a really nice performance increase with minimal effort. So you can press the fast auto tuning to get instant results. Also, for people that want to have a goal of where they want to go with their CPU, you can use auto settings to simply specify the speed you want to go to, and then everything else is taken care of by us with our predefined overclock settings. Also, as I mentioned before, if you want to get the very best from your processor, nothing will ever replace doing manual settings, because every single CPU will have slightly different limitations, and they'll all require slightly different voltage for different levels. So that is why every single CPU has to be done manually to get the very maximum performance from it. So what I'm going to show you here is just a very quick tip to get the very best from your processor, while using some Asus specific tools to actually greatly speed up the process of doing it compared to doing it the old-fashioned way, you could say. So what we're going to do is open AI Suites 2 again, but this time instead of going to auto tuning, we're going to go to Turbo V Evo. Now this is our Windows based utility for overclocking. So what you can do is manipulate the settings that you would normally use for an overclock, but instead of having to restart your computer and do it within the BIOS, you can actually do it from within Windows. Now this provides a lot of advantages. The classic way of overclocking, where you restart every time you want to change a setting, is very time consuming. Often you need to set aside half a day or even a full day to really find what the maximum your processor can give you. But what we're going to do here is do it in Windows while the stress test is actually running, and this will allow us to find out at what points the CPU will crash in a really fast, efficient manner. So we're going to run Prime 95 and run a stress test. So as you can see, all of the threads are running at 100%, so it's simulating a worst case scenario that you would normally never really be able to achieve if you're playing video games or browsing the web. You're not going to see this kind of behavior from your CPU, but all it's really meant to be doing is simulating a worst case scenario. So if the processor is able to run stably with this much load on it, then obviously when you're doing your normal day-to-day tasks, it will run absolutely fine. So we'll close that down now, put that in the background. Okay, so now while that's going ahead, we currently have an overclock setting of 4.6 gigahertz, so 46 times multiplier by 100 base clock. Now what I've done is just a minute ago I changed the multiplier from 46 to 47. Oh, put that back down. Okay, there we go. Now as you can see, it's changed there, and all we have to do is press apply and yes, and you should see in 1 second the multiplier has changed. There we go. So a few seconds ago we was running at 4.6 gigahertz, now we're running at 4.7 gigahertz. The other options you'll see here is that we have BCLK frequency, CPU voltage, and RAM voltage as well. We're not going to be touching the RAM voltage, but while the stress test is still running, we can now walk away from the computer, do some other tasks, and you can come back a bit later and see if it's still running. If it's still running, what you can do is try increasing the multiplier even more. So we're now at 4.8 gigahertz. Yes. Okay, so again, give it a second to apply the settings, and there you go. Dynamically in Windows, without having to do any restarts, you can do that last mile piece of overclocking. And let's say you go to 4.9 and the system crashes. What you can do is also manipulate your CPU voltages from Windows as well. So you can go from 1.255 to 1.27. Apply, yes, and that's done automatically. Also, while you're doing that, you can monitor the parts of the processor. So for example, you can monitor the CPU voltage, which is currently sitting at 1.28, and that's because load line calibration will slightly increase it to negate the effects of voltage droop. And also we can check the CPU's temperature here as well. So as you can see, on full load at 4.8 gigahertz, it's currently running at only 55 degrees. This is partly because of Ivy Bridge being built on 22 nanometer manufacturing process, so you can achieve really good overclocks without too much waste heat. So yeah. Okay, well thank you very much for your time and watching this video. I hope it's proved beneficial to you. So as you can see, no matter what level you want to go in at with our overclocking motherboard range, there's a solution for you, whether you've never overclocked before, or whether you are experienced and you want some tools to just help the process of overclocking more efficient. Obviously, every CPU is ever so slightly different, so results will vary from person to person. There are a number of factors, obviously, like I said, the CPU, also the cooler you use as well. What I'm using here at the moment is a Corsair H100 all-in-one water cooling system, which is an amazing cooler, but by no means is it essential to achieve an overclock. Although it's generally advised not to use the default cooler that Intel provides, you don't need to spend a lot of money to be able to get good results and increase the power coming from the processor by a very large amount. As you saw from the test that we did, we went from the default 3.5 GHz all the way to 4.8 GHz, which would yield massive performance increases and would enable you to keep your system for possibly a year or two longer than you would have necessarily before you need to upgrade. So anyway, thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoyed this video.